So we have the car market that's in a very bad situation right now, and a lot of these big companies like AutoNation know it. So what they're doing is they're preparing themselves for the problems that are about to arise in this market. So here's the news that we have right here. AutoNation sells 2 Ford stores, and it might just be the start. So we have AutoNation, which is one of the biggest auto dealers in the US. They are selling off some of their stores, and from what it looks like is this is not just the beginning of it. So they sold 1 store in Georgia and 1 store in Minnesota. So here's the thing that I want to talk about. So these big publicly traded companies, these big dealership groups, they know what's going on. They see the numbers coming in. So this is not really an unusual thing to see turnover as far as stores from a lot of these big groups. They buy them, sell them all the time. But what I did want to show you, the one thing that is weird, it's very weird, is that they're preparing to possibly sell a lot more stores. So check this out right here. So AutoNation, in an August regulatory filing, said it had 195 million in assets for sale as of June 30th, and that compares to 21 million that they had for sale at the end of last year. So think about it, just in the last 7-8 months, they go from only having $21 million worth of stores assets for sale to about $200 million worth. And I would be curious to know. I don't know if this information is out there. I dug a little bit, couldn't actually figure it out. And you're probably not going to be able to know because they don't just put these stores out for sale on the open market. They're talking to other dealership groups, trying to figure out buyers for them. But I would be curious to know how many of these stores are Ford dealerships and how many are Chrysler, Dodge, Ram dealerships. So what we are already seeing right now, especially in what I'm seeing in North Carolina, these CDJR dealerships are having a bad run of it. There's one here in North Carolina that is trying to just give up the franchise altogether, forcing Stellantis to have to buy back a lot of these unsold vehicles that they have just sitting around. A lot of them are fleet vehicles. So what we have in North Carolina is there's a law that if a franchise just closes up, stops being a franchise for one of these automakers, then the automaker is then on the hook to buy back a lot of the inventory that is sitting around not being sold. This is why I'm very curious to know, one, where these stores are from AutoNation that they're trying to unload, and two, which brands they are, because we know, I would say, of all the automakers, there's a few that really stick out that have a lot of problems to me. One is obvious. It's Stellantis. It's the Jeep, Dodge, Ram dealerships. I've recently heard from some of these franchise dealers, the ones that actually are buying other dealerships up, that if you were to give them a Jeep, Dodge, Ram dealership, they would not even take it. And the reason being is because, yeah, it's well and good for them to get that franchise name and be able to sell that product, but the products aren't selling right now. And when they get allocations from the manufacturer, from Stellantis, as those vehicles sit there, it costs them way more money. So they don't pay cash or anything for their cars. They have them on a floor plan, a credit line. So as those vehicles sit, they rack up all this interest, and this is why a lot of these franchise owners are saying, I would not even take a Jeep, Dodge, Ram dealership if you gave it to me for free, because they know that free Jeep, Dodge, Ram dealership would instantly start costing them money the second that they walk into the door, because all this inventory is sitting around. And it's no secret, if you watch any of our videos, you watch any other videos around looking at any of these dealerships, Jeep, Dodge, Ram have a problem. And the other two that I would put close to the same amount of issues as Stellantis is Nissan is probably number 2 on the list of having issues. You're having reports of Nissan paying dealers to take allocations, and then on the back end of it, paying dealers extra spiff, stipend, whatever you want to call it, extra bonus to sell some of their vehicles. So they're trying to incentivize their dealerships to take more cars. They're paying them on the front end, and then when they are able to sell cars, they're paying them on the back end. So this is giving these Nissan dealers more cash to be able to work with to lower their prices to try to get them to move more inventory. Inventory is a big time problem for Nissan right now. I have a Nissan general manager that I talk to every once in a while. And a few months back, I had an interview with him, and what he said to me was, "Okay, 12 months ago, they barely had any inventory. They couldn't get enough from Nissan. And then 2 months later, it's like the whole lot was filled. So they went from having 60 cars on their lot to over 200 in about a month, 2 month time. Guess what? They're not selling that many cars. So if you just multiply that every single month of how many allocations that they have turned in. He said, you know what? We're going to have to tell Nissan, we got to back out. We got to back up, and we can't be taking all of these allocations that you're wanting to send us. And this is happening all across the nation right now, where you have Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Nissan, Ford dealers that are turning down allocations because they have vehicles just sitting on their lot. And we're seeing right here that Ford is a place that AutoNation is not wanting to get into. Maybe they got some good deals on selling these dealerships, and let's maybe even it's an outlier. But if they were turning money hand over fist, if they were making a lot of money with their Ford dealerships, they would not be interested in moving them. And you can see just by the actions that they're taking. Okay, they had $21 million worth of assets for sale about 8-9 months ago, and now we do it tenfold. Now they got $200 million worth of assets, worth of dealerships that they are actually wanting to sell right now. They are wanting to liquidate some of these dealerships because they know how difficult the car market is right now. They know what's coming, and they know that it's going to get worse. Just to show you exactly what I'm seeing, I go to these car auctions, and what are we seeing? We're seeing fewer and fewer trade-ins come into the market every single week. And what does that mean? That means that these new car dealers are not selling cars. The only way that I'm able to buy cars at these used car dealer auctions is from trade-ins. And the only way trade-ins make their way to the auction is from new car dealers selling their cars. That's the only way that I'm able to get my cars. And if I'm seeing this weakness at auction on the inventory side, that means new car dealers are not selling right now. And it's not just Jeep, Dodge, Ram. It's not just Nissan. It's not just Ford. Is happening across the board. I'm just picking out those three because those are the three that I believe are having the most difficulty actually moving their vehicles right now. On Nissan side, it's really I think it's a product issue on Nissan. It's not necessarily price because they have Versas, even though they're discontinuing the Versas. Their cheapest product right now, most affordable car, that the ones that dealers can actually sell. This Nissan dealer that I have talked to recently, he said, if you get me Versas that are $20,000, I can sell them all day long. Guess what Nissan's doing? They're discontinuing their cheapest offering here in the US this year. And what do they want to do? They want to sell the higher margin products to make more money. But guess what? These dealerships can't sell them. But on Ford and Stellantis side, I don't necessarily think it's all that much of a product problem. I think it's a price problem. In Stellantis's case, they can still make products that people want. People still want Jeeps. People still want to drive these Ram 1500s, but not at 70, 75, $80,000. That's the problem. Stellantis, as far as what I'm concerned on Jeep, they're trying to turn Jeep into a luxury brand. They've stated this. This is what they wanted to do, and people are not buying it. They took out their production. They've cut some jobs, some shifts to produce their cheapest truck that they have, the classic Ram 1500. And in that same plant, they make Jeep Grand Wagoneers. And guess what didn't get cut? The Jeep Grand Wagoneers. Those shifts did not get cut. So there, you can see where they're putting their production. They're putting their money where their mouth is, and they're trying to be more of a luxury brand. But guess what? Right now, it's not working. People cannot afford to buy 80, 90, 100. I've seen a Grand Wagoneer on a Jeep Dodge Ram dealership lately, $123,000. That's not what people want. They want more affordable vehicles. Just at that same dealership, they had rows and rows and rows of Jeep Grand Cherokees that were 60, $70,000. They had, I think, 18 or 19 Wagoneers. So they they had millions of dollars sitting there of Wagoneers, and you barely can find a vehicle on that Jeep Dodge Ram dealership that you're going to pay $40,000, and it's even rarer to find something that you're going to pay less than $40,000 on. Just absolutely ridiculous. These automakers are getting away from what was actually selling a few years back, and these dealerships, just like AutoNation, they're the ones that are actually holding the bag right now. And AutoNation is, they're saying it. Look, we want out of some of these dealerships. We're offering more dealerships for sale right now because we can't handle it. All right, and check this out. Just another example of this right here. As of June 30th, Asbury, which is another very large dealership group, had $206 million worth of assets held for sale. According to this filing, the group said the portfolio included 8 franchise dealerships along with unused real estate. And all of that real estate is probably going to be associated with the dealership. A lot of these dealerships, they'll have storage lots, things like that. But I would be very curious. I really, really want to know if a lot of these big groups, AutoNation, Asbury, just like this, the dealerships that they're trying to sell, I would assume they're going to fall into that Ford, fall into that Nissan, fall into that Stellantis grouping of dealerships that these franchise owners, they don't want anything to do right now. They know that owning a Stellantis is a loss at this point. The floor plans are not going to catch up. What was a profit center, what, a year, 2 years ago, because they were actually turning product and then they were getting the kickbacks to help them on their floor plans from the Audi manufacturers. It's now a big time burden. We're hearing of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that these dealerships are paying on a monthly basis just to keep their floor plans because they are not moving their inventory. We are having Ram 1500s that are having multiple birthdays sitting on these dealership lots. Car market's bad. AutoNation's telling you it. I'm seeing it here at my dealership, seeing what other dealers are paying for cars, seeing that trade-ins aren't coming into the auctions, and things are going to get worse, in my opinion. So if I were you, if you were looking to buy a car, thinking about buying a car, the longer you can wait, the better. If you've been watching our videos and hearing my advice for the last 12 months, for the last 6 months, if you're thinking about buying a car 12 months ago and you waited till 6 months ago, prices have come down. Prices are cheaper now than they were 6 months ago. And guess what? In my opinion, I believe 6 months from now, prices are going to be even cheaper than where they were now. And I see it all the time in my comments. Well, prices aren't coming down where I am. Well, if you look at any of the wholesale charts, you can see that prices are coming down. But here's the thing. If you're just looking at advertised prices online, if you're just going and window shopping, you're not going to see it. You actually have to talk to somebody. You have to go in and negotiate. So if you're not seeing prices coming down, you're either one, lazy, or two, you are very, very, very bad at negotiating. But that's enough of my rants. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. This is a second channel. It's not our main channel. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And I think that's it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.